Hi guys! Today we're going to keep practicing with taking functions and filling in function tables. Something you should notice about this equation that might be different from what you're used to seeing is that instead of y, over here by itself on the left side of the equation we have f of x, or the function of x. It acts exactly the same way as y, it's just telling us that this equation represents a function, which we'll be working with more in regular 8th grade math class. So I can see in my table I have an x column and I have a function of x column, and then I have some x values that are given. If I want to fill in my table so that I know my function of x column, then all I need to do is rewrite my equation and substitute in my x values. So I'm going to just pull out the expression, -2, and instead of x, I'm going to write parentheses as a placeholder, plus 1. That came from right here, and the only thing I changed was that instead of x, I put in parentheses. Now, the thing that I'm going to put in to the parentheses comes from my table. Over here I have my x column with my x values, so I'm going to take turns substituting these in. The first one I'm going to plug in there is -1. And now I just need to solve out this expression. -2 times -1 is 2, plus 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. So when x was -1, the function of x is 3. We'll do the exact same thing for the other values in our table. The other values here are 0 and 1, so let's do them one at a time. I'm going to take this 0 and plug it in. -2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. So when x is 0, the function of x was 1, I can plug that into my table. The last one I'm going to go ahead and plug in is 1. I can see that value in my table. So I'm just going to grab that out and plug it into those parentheses. And now that I have it plugged in, I just solve out the expression. -2 times 1 is -2, plus 1. If the signs are different, find the difference. -2 plus 1 is -1. That's it. Let's do one more. Same thing here. I have my equation, function of x equals x minus 7. I have a table of values where my x values are filled in, and I want to go ahead and substitute in to figure out my function of x values. So I'm going to pull out this expression, x minus 7, and instead of x, I'm going to just write a placeholder pocket. Now I can take a look at my table and pull out my x values and substitute them in. So I'm going to plug in -2. -2 minus 7 is -9. So I'm going to put that value back into my table. And now I can keep going for each of these values. The next thing that I'm going to substitute in for x is 0. 0 minus 7, solve out the expression, is -7. So I can go back and put that in my table. And last but not least, what is the function of x when x is 2? Well, the way I figure that out is plug it in. 2 minus 7 is -5, so when x was 2, the function of x is -5. Put it in my table. Your turn to practice.